Hello, everyone. I'm Carmen Milagro. I'm a CBD educator as well as the founder of Divina Botanicals and Skincare. Welcome to my show. It's called From the Ground Up. And what we're doing here today is basically discussing different insights, different philosophies from different guests, because I believe that successful transformation starts from the truth about your work life balance, if there is one. It starts from the ground up as well as the inside out. On this show, we're really basically on a quest to find these truths. And I have an opportunity to talk to industry leaders, celebrities, friends and colleagues, and it's really interesting to find out what their truth is. So, is work life balance truly possible? Are you ready for the truth? Let's find out. So, today I have an extraordinary guest. She is, in my opinion, and those several people who know her, she's pretty incredible. And her story is she's not only a serial entrepreneur, she is an executive level business coach, she's an investor, she's an international speaker, and she's also happened to build 12 companies in Canada, but also including Europe and the USA. And she started at 19 years old and she became a self-made millionaire by the time she was 23. Yep, you heard me right. She was 23 years old. I think I have a jacket older than that. But I digress. She's resilient. She's got a heart of gold and she has a steel mindset of positivity. And she's a survivor in every sense of the word. I'm over the moon and I'm really excited to introduce you to my guest today. Her name is Katie K. Welcome to the show, Katie K.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So good. I'm so good.
Thank you for being here. I know that you're really busy and we're all really busy doing Zooms and all that. And, I was trying to rush here and get ready. And I was like, oh, I got to find the matching. Oh, I don't have to put on matching pants because we live in this whole different world now.
It's the
So
best.
that saved me like 3 minutes. Maybe I should have called this From the Waist Up.
Yeah, you should have. You really should have. I have a secret monkey here because I'm always cold. So welcome to interviews during COVID.
Right. Thank you, Katie. Where are you joining us from, by the way?
Right now I'm in Canada, so
Okay.
It is very chilly and looks like there's snow coming. So
Oh, okay. Well, I have to ask because I know you, especially right now, you're getting ready to do a lot of traveling
yeah.
and, things are slowly but surely just getting back into a more, I don't like using the word normal because I don't think that that's ever going to really fully return, but
Yeah.
it's a new way of doing business. And maybe we'll even, kind of touch on that a little bit.
Yeah,
But
of course.
for those that don't know you yet, my audience, and specifically, do you mind just sort of like giving us a little bit of your background? I mean, what I'm trying to do here is really talk about the building blocks that people like yourself who are massively successful, the tools and the tips and the advice that you can share with us for those that are just beginning their journey, they're in the middle of their journey, they're redefining their journey like myself.
Yeah.
If you could sort of just give us a little bit of your business background, I think that'll help sort of the context of everything else that we'll discuss today.
Yeah, of course. So for those who don't know me, I am Katie K. We will go kind of backwards. Everybody knows that I did start at 19. So everyone is usually intrigued about that. But the funny part with that, which like you just said, is age really doesn't play a number in any of this. But it was kind of a pivotal moment when I was at that age. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was in school for something hilarious that I will never use ever again. The first time I went to school, so my very first year, I was in school for urban and regional planning, which is the most like left brain analytical thing you can imagine. Imagine just basically architecture. I could never see myself doing that. So I don't know why I was there. It's funny now. And so I was, you're at that age. And I think that a lot of my life was built off what people told me I was supposed to do versus what I wanted to do. And I think that since very little, I am known in my family as like the rebellious, good luck telling her what to do type individual. And while as a child, that is probably, I was a pain in the ass, to keep it frank. I'm sure I was. It is probably the thing that made me get started early, right? And kind of made me fail forward. So I did start with, my first company was just at a little farmer's booth market. And it's the same product that I did take and scale to all those stores. And it was in the vape and CBD space. And that's when it started. It's right when all that really came out in the beginning. And I was really, really realizing quickly that, why am I going to school to do all this? I did end up going to school. I did it online in the background, building my business. But, why am I picking something when this is working in front of me?
Right.
So it was kind of just fell into me. And I would be kind of bartending on the weekend and like till 3 a.m. and then I got to be at this stand at 7 a.m. And it was just kind of like a wild part of my life where it all started.
You're kind of like this accidental millionaire.
Kind of. It really was.
But not. We know that.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah. But in many ways, I think people fixate when someone becomes successful at a young age on, is there something that they had in their brain, or would they, take a specific thing in school, or what was it? And I think it was just action. And I always relate my success to children. And I say that, if a children is in the living room and they're jumping off the couch, they're just fearless, right? And the mom is like, oh my God, there's a glass coffee table, or oh my God, and they're putting their hands out. And I think that is one part of my childhood, because I was so rebellious back then. I laugh about it now. Starting a business at that age, you also don't have the fears you'd have now. So I'm not even on a level of, how much things might cost, or if this all goes belly up, what am I going to do? It's more of I just kept going with my gut and building off that. So I really relate it back to fear. And I would say it's harder for me now than it ever was back then. I think that now that I know the way the world works and how much things cost and how much it takes to make money and lose money and all of those parts, that it would be harder for me to make some of those decisions now than it was back then. So sometimes I have to reset myself as well. But it really did start from just this little booth, and it turned into 12 stores and a lot.
Poof.
2 wholesale locations. Yeah, it was a lot. But when something's working, it's trust your gut and keep following it.
Definitely. Oh, I love that. Okay, I'm going to quote you on that as well. Yeah. But I mean, clearly you were, and you still are. I happen to know a few other things about where you are now, but you're driven. You're driven to succeed, and everyone has their own definition of success. Mm-hmm. But there's sort of this, I've noticed, I would say, well, definitely during the pandemic, there was so much of this that I felt for the first time was on my radar. There's a lot of industry leaders like Arianna Huffington. She's saying that basically in order to thrive and scale a business, you have to. She's saying the word must. It's a must have to have work-life balance, and that health is the key to wealth. Mm-hmm. And I was watching one of your many other interviews that you've done. And in it, I really honed in on something that you said, because I can definitely relate to this right around the same age. But you said that you described your 25th year of you had a midlife crisis. Yeah. In addition to having some pretty heavy health challenges in your life in that time frame, that forced you to focus on health and well-being. Do you feel comfortable sharing that part of your story today?
Absolutely, of course, yeah, and especially with everything you do and the industry you're in as well, it's hand in hand. It's a big part of why I built the business I have. I mean, it's a huge part of me, and I don't usually get to talk about it. So absolutely,
Oh, thank you.
yeah. I think definitely 25 was this crazy block in my life, and people, they can laugh all they want, but if you walked my shoes, I'm really like a 60-year-old in a 25-year-old body at this point. So, um, you had these reset moments, right? And I think I had a couple of them. I think 19 was a big one, and that's when I started my business, and everything was kind of taking off. There's these pivotal moments, and I know they're going to happen again. But for me, like the health, wealth, and work-life balance, back then for me, and I wouldn't make the same mistake, but back then for me, it was so severe and I was so sick. So it starts with, I have a condition called endometriosis. That is not curable for me. So for me, using alternative medicine was always eye-opening for me. I didn't want to be, on all these drugs. Most people who have my condition, well, women, only women. So most women who have my condition, they always, a lot of them are at home and on disability. So I first and foremost have to remember that I'm doing what 99.9% of women with my condition are not. So I have to give myself a little bit of leeway. Sure. But I also get very angry with my body because I want to keep running and I want to keep running, and I have to schedule things differently and work around things differently because of that. So I think that, me getting sick was obviously a sidebar to this illness. And I don't know how else to describe it other than when I went through it at that age, I said, I didn't really have the answers. So I kind of took a gamble with what I believed in. I stuck with CBD. I stuck with, anything that I felt was the right path for me. Right. And I do remember my husband, I used to see all the screens of all my stores, my poor employees. I was the stalker of everyone. And so at my office, I would always have those kind of playing in the background, just kind of keeping an eye on thing while I was working at the like our head office. Sure. And when I got sick, my husband said, we can bring this all home. We can have this all set up. You're going to be good. And I remember being in our bedroom, and he's got screens. It's all set up, and I'm lying down, and I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't sit in this bed. Like you can't make me sit in this bed. It's not going to happen. So I don't think he was very happy in that moment with my decision. But I said, if something's going to happen to me, let it happen to me doing the thing I love, and let me just go to work. So I went in pajamas and, rolled all my machines in. We put couches in the back of the office. I wasn't allowed to go to the front of the store. Thank God, because I would scare the customers away. But it was a risk. Mm-hmm. But I genuinely believe that your mind is also linked to your health. And I think that I made the best decision for me. And I was young too. So I don't know that I'd make that same decision now. I'd probably be like, okay, I'll stay home. I'll get better. But, everything happens for a reason. So.
Well, I think that's literally, when I was introducing you, I said you are a survivor in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
And that's a one of the reasons, and I think I've shared this with you in the past, one of the reasons that I created my hemp CBD serum is because I lost my mother to cancer.
Yeah.
I watched what she went through. It was just,
it's hard.
She's the reason. Yes. I mean, she's the reason why, if I can, so my mindset at that time wasn't about creating product. It wasn't about starting a business. It was just simply about taking care of my mom as best I could.
Mm-hmm.
And, you and I both know it's not just about what you put inside your body. It's also what you put topically on your skin. And all these products that we all use, if we are not careful, if we're not reading the labels, they do, and they can affect our well-being.
Yeah.
So for me, I can't tell you I can picture you in your back office working. I can picture you doing this and how that was part of your journey and part of your healing.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Not everyone, just like everyone's body is different, and
Yeah.
just like everyone's body is different with different products that they put on their skin or different foods that they eat, everyone's, I think, in my opinion, their wellness journey is different too. I mean, look what you were able to do. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've also heard you say that your story of how you handled your business also led you to incorporating the CBD aspect into what you were already doing. And maybe if you could share with us a little bit about that thought process you
Yeah.
went through this.
Absolutely. It started with vaping and e-cigarettes for sure. That's the product I got into at first. I was also a very heavy smoker back then. Believe it or not, 19, probably shouldn't be admitting that.
We're not toting this. We're not advising this
anymore. So yeah, it was a big, I was able to sell that product because it worked for me. I was able to walk in and say, yeah, I quit smoking. And there was a lot of legal things you couldn't say. And even just being in the CBD industry and the taboo words and the buzzwords and the legalities of things, it makes things more difficult. But so that was a product that was really working. And then when CBD was introduced to me and myself, I was using drops, I was using topical. And one thing I wanted to mention that you said, because with your serum, it's topical, right? And how different medicine, depending what you're going through, different medicines also just affect different parts of your body. So topical stuff is incredible. I mean, whether it's, my mom uses it on her feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something she had. Her hands are always hurting, uses it on her hands. Sometimes the specific drugs that you're taking that you have to take, let's say through the doctor, is giving you massive migraines, and even just rubbing on like the back of your neck. And I think before I go back to kind of the products for this store, I think a lot of people are not always open to trying, but it doesn't mean you need to be mainstream medicine or complete non-mainstream medicine. I think that the way that I did it was I combined what was right for me. I'm not against these things and I'm not against these things, right? And that combination genuinely, I believe, saved my life. So the second I have a passion for something, of course, I'm going to incorporate it into my business at this point. And it is a hand-in-hand play, right? It goes with what I'm doing. So we added it in two different ways, like within the vapes. And then we also added a CBD product, but same thing. That was very easy to slide in. It's something I believed in. It's something that was working for me.
Right.
And it was the type of people we had coming in, when you could see them leaving with their pain gone. And, that stuff, I can make all the money in the world, but watching like a lady with a cane be able to walk again, those things are priceless. So
Yeah, I was just, my mind, of course, is spinning. People often will say, right, even when I'm being interviewed or talking to other people, they'll say, do you have any regrets? And my regret is major. For me, I wish that I had gone down this path to take everything that I learned from my mom and that came down from my grandmother. And I wish the one regret, I don't have any others, quite honestly. But the one regret is I wish that I had educated myself on the benefits of hemp CBD while I still had her here.
yeah.
That's the one regret. So, but I don't like to dwell in the what ifs.
Yeah.
I use them to motivate me.
Yeah.
And, one of the reasons that I love talking to you is you have, I would say, one of the most steely, positive mindsets that I've ever encountered.
It's a lot of stubbornness.
Well, that's
I
don't think that stubborn is a negative word necessarily, because I feel the same way about certain things. And For me, it was just, taking, like, diving so deep into the education part of this that I became a CBD educator so that I could share that information.
Yeah.
Yes, don't get me wrong. I would love to be able to constantly sell out of my serum. There's a reason why I called it Soothe.
Yeah.
But more importantly, if I can help someone understand and they go out and buy another CBD product that works for them, maybe they're more into tinctures or capsules or whatever it is. If I can help in that educational component of their life, that is what drives me, because I do that in honor of my mom
Yeah.
since I couldn't do it for her.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And that's a huge part of it, right? That is a huge part of understanding any type of medicine. If you wanted to go to a chiropractor, you wanted to try physiotherapy, or I think people just need to be very open-minded with it, and to go to someone, like yourself, who can actually step by step walk you through it. And I've experienced that same thing. I've had someone walk in and be like, well, what is it? Is it this? Is it that? And then you sit down and you start to kind of give them some information, and they're like, okay, I could try it. I could
Yeah.
try it. And I think the more people become educated on it, the more they're open to it. And some people need a little bit extra, and you're great for that, explaining that to people. But ultimately, it's not coming from a place, it never came from that place from me, and I know it's not coming from that place from you. I'm not trying to sell you the product just to sell you the product. I'm actually trying to make your life a little easier. Right. And that's the beautiful thing about CBD. Like, we are actually just trying to find something that works for you.
And it's not for everyone.
No.
100%. It's not for everyone. But, one of the things that when I first started really diving into the entrepreneurial world, one of the things I thought, well, what do I stand for? Who am I? And I really went and dug deep and did my own, what I call, my personal brand that I have lived with from that day. So I was, late 30s. So we're talking 27 years ago or something. But really, like, who am I? What do I do? What do I stand for? And my whole thing that I live by is, music and art and all of that. That's my passion. That's what I do for myself.
Yeah.
But my purpose, since I was a child, I like to help people. And that is my purpose. So I built everything that I do around that. So thank you for acknowledging that.
No, absolutely. Education goes hand in hand with the product, because you can't, it's one of those things. It's the same with the vaping of e-cigarettes. I mean, a lot of people never understood them, never understood how they worked.
Right.
And some specific things in this world, there needs to be education with product. We're not just buying a phone case. We're not just, we're not in this mass market of just selling a product. It's very much education based. And that's the thing, though. And you experienced the same thing as I'm sure I did. Once they're clients, they're lifetime clients. Like, they have now, you have solved something so great for them. And they're walking billboards. They're like, oh, I have all this pain that's gone, right? So,
yeah. Oh my gosh, 100%. And I love my walking billboards. And what's really interesting, I was going to say is, when you're able to speak about a personal experience, but then you have someone else that comes to you and says, I didn't have to quit my job because of your serum. And that is mind-boggling to me, that I can help someone on that level with something that I created. For me as an artist, and I always say this, I love creating things out of nothing. So when I'm writing a song, and I'm a lyricist, and I hear the melody, or I dream the melody or whatever, and I write it down, and then I'm like, okay, now I need to collaborate. Now I need to work with other people, because that's how I'm wired. And I also recognize that I can't do everything on my own. So for me, it's that whole idea of creating something out of nothing brings me so much joy. And I went into this with knowledge from my grandmother and insights from my mom about plant-based, using, food grade ingredients. If you're going to put it on your skin, you should be able to ingest it in some way, shape, or form. So that's really my, my ideal for the
ground up.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And then again, for me, my benchmark client is I have so many friends who have similar stories to yours. They're not just one time, but they're 2 and 3-time cancer survivors. These women are warriors like yourself. And
Yes.
so my benchmark is I wanted to create formulas that for them.
Yeah.
And if it's healthy enough for them, then it's healthy enough for the rest of us, that don't have to have those battles. So, I mean, you're an inspiration to me. And I know that a lot of times people do get stuck on age and all of that. I don't. I certainly don't.
Me neither.
But, it's when I hear your story of how you became, and I don't want to keep harping on it, but
No, I know.
it's pretty impressive.
The funny thing is it's something I really don't like. It really doesn't come up. So a lot of people don't know that I've been through what I've been through. And a lot of people don't even know I have a condition that's like debilitating on a daily basis. So,
Right.
I think if I already inspire someone, that's great. But I know that a lot of people have my condition. A lot of people have been through what I've been through. A lot of people daily have to think about it. And whether it's finding something new to use, if it's a serum, if it's, I got to go have massage more, like whatever it is I have to put in my life. I'm the first person to say that I now acknowledge that I have to pay attention to it a lot more than I wanted to. And we are all in that boat. So,
Right. Well, and I think sometimes, like having gone through what you have experienced,
yeah.
what what do you do? Can you sort of break it down? Is there like a philosophy or a strategy or just a series of products or, because to me, everything that we're talking about is all tied together. It's the emotional health, the spiritual health, the physical health, the mental health. Do
Yeah.
you believe that they're all connected?
I do. I think I'm always working through it and always growing through it. I think when I was younger, I thought this was something that would go away. Like I think I thought that, oh, this is a curable disease. Oh wait, no, it's not. And I think that it was just lack of knowledge back then, and you're also a lot healthier back then, so the pain doesn't feel as bad as it keeps starting to feel. So there's definitely things I put in my routine. I love vitamin drips. Massage therapy is huge for me, mainly because my cysts grow all over my body and they create clumps. And then if they turn, that's when they turn cancerous, and that's the whole shabam of endometriosis. But so for me, it's releasing a lot of tension. And if I notice I haven't done it in a while, I'm like bruised after I come out of a massage. So those things are really important to me. CBD 100%. Your serum's been working amazing. I love your serum. It's just a combination of what works when as well. It's different seasons. If I'm in the cold weather, like everything's tensing up. Hence why I try to go to Florida more often.
Right.
So it's what products work where I am and what I'm doing. If I know I have something coming, I mean, my whole work life has to be scheduled around my female life. And if things are not aligned by dates, then I can't be productive, right? So that was, I think I would say about like 5 years ago, I really had to sit down and say, okay, this things have to start being scheduled according to what's going on with my body. And I also know that I can have a flare at any moment, and I know that that can take over. And I have to, rapid response on that. As far as like the metaphorical and not a physical product or anything like that, I think that everything I've been through as a result of my health and I honestly, this realization was really this year. I think I've always known it. I think it's really hit me this year that I'm constantly in fight or flight mode. And so I'm in constant rapid mode. And that is probably why I am the entrepreneur I am, because I will just go, 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 go. don't let anything kind of get in my way. Like, you tell me I'm going to die. Yeah. Okay. Good luck. Like, you're not going to kill me. Like, I just have that mentality, right? Like,
That,
good luck trying to take me down.
yes, I believe me.
And so I think because I went through everything health-wise, business-wise, family-wise, relationship-wise, and I have this no matter what. I actually had a saying I used to say, and I've stopped saying it. So I used to say, no matter what happens, it can't get worse than this, when something really bad would happen. Getting sick would be one of them. And I'd be like, it can't get worse than this. It can't get worse than this. And here's positive Polly coming out.
Right.
Every single time it would get worse. It would get worse. Something would happen, right?
Yes.
And so I've just realized that forever, whether it's health, personal, whatever is going to happen, I'm a human that has issues that I can't control, and I operated out of fight or flight. And so depends what situation I'm put in, but it's a metaphorical thing of, if you put my back against the wall, I will swing. And I really realized it like big time this year, because this year, we had another family thing happen, and a lot of stuff going on. And I just watched myself just keep going. And so for me, it was, learning to slow down and have those moments, and grief is a real thing. And, a lot of things. I'm a human. I went through stuff. Right. And so I think that my biggest blessing is that fight or flight. Like, I will not stop. And it honestly comes down to my health. It's nothing in business. Yes, I've had things happen in business. I've lost money. I've had people walk out on me. I've had all these crazy things. But, the people who have been through that in their life, if you know that your life is about to get taken from you, is a very rare, strange, insane feeling. And so, like, nothing can be as worse as that. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's my metaphorical.
I'm on a different level.
Yeah.
But yes, like there's this whole thing, like as we were just talking about, there's so many things that are running through my head. So I apologize. Like, I should be more focused, but
like, I'm giving you all the juice.
I know. I'm just like, oh my gosh, thank you for trusting me. But one of the things that's running through my head right now is this idea that, going to get massages, it's a luxury. Or, taking time out, resetting. Like, I like the word that you use, resetting. I didn't really have a word for that, but I know that, and I think, some of my struggles in technology, but sometimes I just have to step away, like in the middle of the arc of frustration or whatever, problem solving that I've got to do. Sometimes I'll just go and start cleaning my closet or washing the dishes, and I realize that I've done this my entire life, even when I was in corporate, that sometimes in the middle of a meeting, I would just say, I'll be right back. And I would just go outside. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't smoke. I wasn't going to get a cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee. Like, I just was like in the middle of it, because if I didn't remove myself, I couldn't think. I couldn't come up with solutions. And then I realized that I started doing that in my life. In a prior life, for example, I'll just give you this crazy example. When I was in the hospitality and the hotel world, up and coming, I had mentors. I had an amazing career that everyone wanted me to have. And at the time, like you with school, right? You're being told what to do. I was also in my 20s at that time, and I was being groomed, and I wanted it. I really did. But after 13 years in that business, where it was 24/7, I was in management. I worked one time. I remember I worked 21 days in a row, 17 to 20 hours a day. No joke. And I could do that at the time. But even then I would be like, okay, guys, I'm out. Boss, if you want me to continue doing what I do for you, I need a hotel. I need a suite at a sister property. I need the weekend with no phone calls. And what did I do? I slept. But my mind was clear. They knew not to call me no matter what, because I wouldn't be able to function. again at that pace. So I don't think that massages and taking care of yourself, I don't think that that is a weakness. I think it's absolutely necessary. I don't see those things. Even something like going to get your nails done. I know that people like sometimes will criticize, especially because what I'm getting at is I have had conversations with men about this work-life balance. And 90% of the time, what you and I are talking about is very different. They do see all of this as a weakness, and they don't, they're not proponents of a work-life balance. You know, oh no, you got to push through it. So I'm just curious if you find that, because 9 times out of 10, right, women entrepreneurs are the minorities in investment groups, in conferences, and right. And so have you ever had sort of that, sort of like a little bit of a battle, say, in a conversation where, what do you mean you're going to go get a massage? Not that I'm assuming that they don't know about your health, so they're just looking at someone young and beautiful and on the go. Do you ever get into those conversations with gentlemen?
Yeah, I think definitely. How do I say this? A lot of people don't know what I've been through.
Right.
It's not something I publicly talk about, and the reason I don't, I do in specific cases. This is an interview in which it relates, right? I know you, I trust you. It's different. Your viewers different. I don't want to be known for that because 2 reasons. Yes, can it be seen as a weakness to powerful men? Absolutely. It's more of, I don't want people to use it as I never used it as an excuse. It doesn't come out of my mouth. So unless you really do your research like Carmen does, you wouldn't know, or you've seen, I have one tattoo on my neck, which not many people see. So, unless you really know that side, it played a massive role in my life, but it didn't make me meet, is mainly what I'm saying. I think, I do say that I'm a man in a woman's body, because I will relate more to men. I don't have children. I don't plan on having children. So I do relate to them more than they think.
Yes.
But men are men. So yes, of course, sometimes there is those times you want to shake them. And sorry, there's times you want to shake them and you don't feel like it's fair. I mean, down to the fact it takes me an hour to get ready and then 15 minutes. I mean, that's not fair already. But
well, I just love what you said, because I didn't know that about you, that's how you felt. Because it's funny, I've always felt that. I've always hung out with the boys when I was a kid. As a musician, as having my own band, I've always been around men. I'm not offended by, most of the time, I'm not offended by male humor. And in the corporate world, I was surrounded. In the hotel business, in management, there weren't any women, and there certainly weren't any Latinas in the positions that I've been in my, throughout my life. And so I've always celebrated that part of me, because I am 100% a girly girl, but at the same time, I celebrate my male traits.
Yeah.
And I actually was invited to do this summit. They were based out of Dubai just recently, and we were talking about what's your advice for young girls. And this is like a worldwide global thing. And I said, please embrace your maleness, your strength that is seen more male. Those traits are not something to hide from the world, because they are going to help you in life and business success, everything. If you have the confidence, and if you have that, I can't think of any other way to describe it, but that maleness.
Yeah, they have to embrace it, but they also have to, it comes down to what you want in life. Like this whole, even the work-life balance thing and everything we've discussed, it comes down to what you want in life. So if you grew up wanting one thing, you know, women are women and men are men, but very many times certain men will relate more to women and certain women will relate more to men. And that's just because of what they want in life. It's being clear on that. You can change it as you go, but being very clear on that and not being afraid. I mean, yes, there's going to be social issues. It is 10 times harder for me to sit at the table than a man. It's reality. I can't change it. Like, I'm not one girl yelling on a table is going to change it. I can talk about it. I can be aware of it. I can, but in many ways, use it as your power. Don't use it as the excuse. It's so many women give up because they're like, I mean, do you know how many people look at, if you don't know me and you see me and you walk by me, and even down to like like people think certain things instantly.
Yes.
And unless you know me, you have no idea. And I always say this, when I go to events where I don't know people, I am the most quiet individual. Like, I am reading everyone. I'm sitting in the back of the room with my iPhone and I'm like, person with red hat, this, and I'm quiet because I'm not the first person you walk up to, and I'm not the last person you walk up to have a conversation with. But when you start having a conversation with me, every single time, everyone's like, wow, I'm so shocked. I'm so shocked. So I can't get rid of that stereotype. I'm blonde. That doesn't even help. I mean, there's all these things I could add to the list, but I just own it. Like, I'm me. And if you have an educated conversation with me, you're going to realize very quickly that I don't need you, but I'd like to know you. So that's removing that, right? I think women get very scared. They stay in their boxes, you know, even down to just the maternal instincts and that we are the mothers and all these things. I mean, you can literally do whatever you want with your life. You could have the massive career and the children. You cannot have the children. You can stay at home with the children, and none of it is right or wrong. It's just what you want.
100%. And, you know, I had an interview just recently with JT Fox, and that we also talked about this. We touched on this, that it's like everything, we have a choice when you don't apply the victim mentality to yourself, because the reality is that the world is going to try to dump a whole lot of crap onto you. Like you said, people have stereotypes and they make assumptions about us all. You know, you're dealing with, you're young, you're beautiful, you're blonde, you know, you look a certain way and people are going to make assumptions. I am almost twice as old. Yes, more than twice as old as you are.
Everybody buy the serum because you'll look like Carmen, that's for sure.
You know, but and you know, if I'm not speaking and you look at me, you know, there's especially just the racial situations that are happening. You know, people are going to make assumptions about you. In the entertainment world, you know, I've been told pretty much everything, KDK, from at one point, I'm too old, I'm too short, I'm too fat. Then I was told, well, you're not Latina enough for this particular genre. And over here, I'm not Anglo enough. I'm like, I know, I'm just me.
Yeah.
So I just tend to tell, you know, when I'm coaching young people, which is what I love to do, especially young girls and young Latina women, but that is not my exclusive thing. I don't believe in that. I just, if someone is asking, you know, for help, mentoring, that sort of thing, I'm all about it, all over the place. But I say, you know, just, you don't have to subscribe to what everybody else thinks about you.
No.
What do you think about you? You know, and that includes family sometimes, and friends, and teachers. Like, they're welcome to their opinions, and hopefully the negative opinions they'll keep to themselves.
Yeah.
But, you know, social media is a whole different monster, right? And so my whole thing is, what do you think of you? What's your priority? That's what JT and I were talking about. It's your life balance, your health, your relationship with health and wealth. It's what you want it to be. And it's in your power to make it and shape it the way you want to. Are there going to be challenges? Yes, always. Like that's part of being an entrepreneur, right? And it's also the same with our health. I mean, I wish I was 20 pounds lighter. So I can't just wish them away. I'm going to have to do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I actually have a really funny story for you because you were talking about like people as well. I don't even know if I've told this. I think I have actually. So when I was in high school, my last year of high school, I get called down to the guidance office. Okay. If this man could see me now. And so my senior years in high school, I was modeling a lot, acting a lot, doing a lot of commercials. My parents had me in it from a very young age.
I did not know this.
Ah,
I've learned so many new things about you. Thank you.
it's a good story. And so my dad always traveled for work. My dad's rarely home. My mom is usually with him. So the fact that they're even in the school is like jaw dropping to me. And I get called in and I go outside the classroom. And so I'm away a lot, basically, for modeling and stuff. I think I missed 153 classes, 150. I don't even remember. It was 150 something in my last semester, and still kept up my grades, still got into university. So that's funny. And so anyways, we're walking down. Your parents are here. My parents are here. Yeah. Okay. Have you met my parents? What are they doing here? I'm like, okay, sure. So I walk down there. Sure as shit. There's my mom. There's my dad. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what did I do? Don't forget, I told you I was a really rebellious child.
Yes. Yeah. So you're trying to,
yeah. And they sit me down, and the guidance counselor's in there. One of like a teacher I was very close to because I went through some stuff in school, and I just kind of, that teacher really took care of me. And the principal, and then my parents. And so I sit down, and they're like, we just want to talk about your future and kind of what you want to do. And are like, do you want to apply to go to school and all these things? And they're just going and they're going and they're going. And they're talking about my modeling career. And they're saying, you know, they know how much I'm making from modeling. They know like I'm on Billboard. Like they know that I could really run with it. And I was like, I'm sitting there. Of course, I'm a teenager. That is a rambunctious teenager. And I'm looking at my dad, and I'm giving him the look of like, I'm going to hit someone in a minute. And it's because they were putting me in this box. So he goes, you know, we think that she should drop out of school. We don't really think she should apply for university because she's doing, and then it's the twist of she's doing so well. She's doing so well with modeling. And he made this joke, and it's forever burned in my brain. And he goes, you know, she's more built, because they know my dad and they know what my dad does. He's walking in there with his stuff. And they're like, well, she's built for Vogue. She's not built for Forbes. It is burned in my brain. And the funny thing is, so my dad looks, he laughs, and he goes, well, we'll let Katie make this decision. He grabs his briefcase, we walk out of there. And I'm looking at my dad, and I'm like, I don't have to listen to them, right? And he's like, no, darling. Because you just proved them wrong. And then the irony of all of this.
Oh my gosh.
I have one of my stores is very close to my high school. Mm-hmm. And I have a girl that I went to high school with working at one of my stores. And we've been close for a long time. And she texts me. She knows this story. She knows how much it annoyed me, and it's burned me my whole life. Made me great, actually, but scarred me.
Right.
And she goes, you will not believe who is in here buying something. And I said, who? And she said, check the cameras. The exact same guidance counselor that said that was my customer literally 2 years later. So the way it all turns out. And if I listened to someone who makes 40 grand a year, I would have never been Katie.
Right. And so isn't that, well, first of all, clearly someone has an incredible sense of irony and humor. That divine power.
It's one of I think my dad tells that story at every dinner with like, I'm like, people have heard this story 12 times, Dad. We can stop telling it now. And he's like, no.
But it's also what I love about the story, besides it being entertaining, and I don't know if you noticed, but I had to like put my jaw up because I can't. Yeah, I have a similar, not to that degree, but I have a similar experience also in junior high school, because the more we talk, the more I realize I see now. I remember some of these situations, but what is inspiring though is taking someone's I mean,
Joke, yeah.
right, they're trying to dismiss you. They're trying to squash your spirit. There's just so many people that is how they live. That's how they make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
But the beauty of that is that with that mindset, you can turn that around and use it for fuel. I know how that feels. Like, that's why I was like, oh my God, I think I would have, yeah, I probably would have gotten in trouble. I probably would have done something that I would have regretted, just because
You
I
just
have,
fury.
yes, exactly. I mean, I have with kids and mentoring, and I have the patience. I have such a long fuse, but then there are certain things where, again, that maleness, that knee jerk,
Yeah.
not flight, but fight reaction comes out. And, I'm 5 foot nothing. So it does take people off guard sometimes. But I have enjoyed this so much. And I know that you have a very busy schedule. So we probably should wrap this up. I want to be respectful of your time, but I've loved this so much. Thank you.
Loved it too. Thank you.
Your candidness, your honesty, everything is just, it's everything that I already think of you and so much more. So thank you. But before we go, Katie K, is there something, before we wrap it up, is there one nugget, one must-have strategy that you would like to leave everyone, the takeaway? I mean, we've kind of covered a lot of the gamut, from health and wealth to everything. So I hope, if nothing else, I hope they're entertained.
Yes. I think we covered a lot of my life story. I think people that listen to this are going to know me better than people that have known me for years. But no, I think the moral of everything that we went over was, really know what it is you want. Like, some things can be changed overnight. Some things cannot. Some things take planning. Some things, require strategic thinking and sitting down and really mapping things out. But there is nothing wrong with what you want in life. And I definitely tell people that when I coach them all the time. It doesn't matter if you want $100,000 a year or you want to be the next Jeff Bezos, but whichever one of those you want, you have to tell me that you want that, right? And being okay with that. And once you know that that's exactly what you want, you can build it, but you have to just be honest with yourself. I think people live in these realities and social media and the clickbaiting of life and the fast pace that we live in, and you can change along the way, but keep something as your core, as that's what you want, and everything else just kind of comes and goes.
Yes, I thank you. I love that. And I have to tell you, one of the goals that I have, and I haven't shared this with you, but it's funny that you brought up the cover of Forbes, because by the time I am 60, I plan on being on that cover. So I'm thinking we need to do a dual photo shoot.
We do. I will tag that guidance counselor. Don't worry.
Exactly. So that's another goal.
Perfect. I love it.
Katie K, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again for just your honesty. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me today.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It's a great interview.
Oh, thank you. That was fun.
It was.
Bye, Katie K. Thank you. And thank you all for taking the time to watch this interview. I hope that you were entertained and you learned something new. And if nothing else, inspired by this incredible young woman who has who is a survivor on every level, but more than that, it's her kindness and it's her insight and it's her smarts that I hope you are able to take something so that you can incorporate it into your work-life balance. I've said it before, I do believe that transforming your success, transforming your path to success starts with the truth from the ground up and from the inside out. I think we covered all those gamuts today. So I wish you good luck on your journey and as you continue to evolve and build your wealth and maintain your health. I'm Carmen Milagro, and this has been From the Ground Up. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.